Hello, my name is Keith, and these are my stamps. This is episode 26, Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is in the South Caucasus, on the kind of border between West Asia and Eastern Europe. The name Azerbaijan comes from a Persian nobleman called Atropates of the Achaemenid dynasty, who we'll hear about in a little while. Azerbaijan is 86,600 square kilometers, that's 33,400 square miles, around about the size of Indiana or Austria, with a population of 10.3 million, similar to that of Michigan and Greece. Mountains cover around about 40% of the country. Azerbaijan bordered to the east by the Caspian Sea, and then by Iran, Armenia, Georgia, and Russia. There is an exclave called Nakhchivan, which you can see there to the left of the main body of Azerbaijan, which is bordered by Iran, Armenia, and Turkey. The earliest settlements date back to Paleolithic times and then through to Bronze and Iron Age settlements. There were various ancient states around the area until the Scythians took control in around about the 9th century BC. They were followed by the Medes and then the Achaemenid Empire in 1550 BC, which at the time was the largest empire in the world. The Achaemenid Empire is from where the name Azerbaijan comes, one of its noblemen, Atropates. In 330 BC, Alexander the Great defeated the Achaemenid Empire, and the southern part of that empire became known as Atropatena after Atropates, and the northern part became known as Caucasian Albania, and they emerged as two separate states. In the 3rd century AD, the Iranian Sassanid Empire took over both of the areas, and in the 7th century, the Arab Caliphate took over. There were frequent changes of feudal dynasties until in 1501 another Iranian dynasty, the Safavid, took over, until 1736 when the empire split up into smaller states. In the early 1800s, both Persia and Russia were looking for control in any region really, but in this case in the Caucasus, which resulted in several wars between those two powers, which finished with the Treaty of Turkmenchai in 1828, and that resulted in historic Azerbaijan being split into two again, the northern area, called Shirvan, going to Russian, and the southern area, called Azerbaijan, going to Persia. The tricky part here is that the part known as Azerbaijan that went to Persia isn't the part which is now known as Azerbaijan. That's Shirvan, but we'll come to that in a moment. At the time, the Russians began moving Armenians into historic Azerbaijani lands, and according to the Azeri official sources, thus the foundation was laid for the future Armenian state on the lands of Azerbaijan. And this has led to quite a number of disputes between both Armenia and Azerbaijan, including the regions of Karabakh and Nakhchivan, the exclave that I showed you on the map. Russian control of northern Azerbaijan continued until the end of World War I and the Russian Revolution. Then the Transcaucasian Federation of Armenia, Azerbaijan and Georgia was briefly put into place until in 1918, after a brutal civil war in Baku, including the massacre of many local Muslims, the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic was proclaimed. So this was the old area of Shirvan, but it took the historic name of Azerbaijan, which until that time had been only the part in northern Iran. In April of 1920, the Soviet Russia invaded the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic to form the Azerbaijani Soviet Socialist Republic. They tried the Transcaucasian Federation again between 1923 and 1924, then back to a Soviet Socialist Republic. When the Soviet Union crumbled, Azerbaijan declared its re-independence on the 18th of October 1991 and was admitted to the United Nations in 1992. As an independent country, there were several battles with Armenia over the disputed territories, with Karabakh finally under Azeri control in 2023. Stamp issuing history. Until 1919, stamps of Russia were used in the area. Then, with the declaration of independence of the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic, stamps inscribed Azerbaijan were issued from 1919 to 1921. Then there were stamps of the Transcaucasian Socialist Federative Soviet Republic until 1923. Then from 23 until 1992, Soviet stamps were used. And when Azerbaijan regained independence in 1992, they started to produce their own stamps again, which they have done until present. Thought I'd put a slide showing the different currencies to try and avoid confusion. However, the second currency on there, the Azerbaijani ruble, which was the currency during the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic, it was also known as the Azerbaijani manat, and sometimes is called the first Azerbaijani manat, which means the first one on this table becomes the second, and the second one becomes the third. My earliest stamps that I have from Azerbaijan are these, the first series from the independent Azerbaijan issue. There were two issues, one in 1919 and one in 1920, with slight differences in paper color, paper quality, and the color of the actual stamps, but not so much as the red was green or anything like that. It was that the dark green became a kind of olive green. So they're quite tricky to tell apart. I believe these are all from 1919. They're inscribed in both Azerbaijani and French. They show the top line, the first two, a warrior with the rifle and flag. The next three are a peasant with a sickle under the morning sun. On the second row, the two on the right of the second row are views of medieval Baku, and the stamp at the bottom is the fire temple of fire worshippers. In 1921, 1922, this stamp was released in a series for the Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic. So this is inscribed now in Azerbaijani and Russian. It's 100 rubles and the Azerbaijan National Museum of Art. And in 1921, these semi-postal charity famine relief stamps were released also for the Azerbaijani Soviet Socialist Republic. You'll notice on the left-hand stamp at the bottom, above where it says 1921, it says ACCP. Those are the Cyrillic alphabet for ASSR, the Azerbaijani Soviet Socialist Republic. And this was for a week to help the starving governorates of the Volga region. The 500 rubles stamp on the left showing a peasant carrying food to a starving village, and on the right, the 1,000 rubles showing a starving family. All of these have been imperforate. Now, more modern times, this is from 1992, the third issue from the newly independent or the re-independent Azerbaijan. This is the Maiden's Tower issue, not to be confused with the Maiden's Tower in three other places in Azerbaijan, or the one in Poland, or the one in Istanbul. This is the Maiden's Tower in Baku, and there are about 20 different legends about it. The most famous, perhaps, involves a fire-haired virgin, and the legend states that the tower was called the Fire Tower, and Baku was under attack from an unnamed enemy. This enemy surrounded the fortress, and the people inside had no food, no water, but they would not surrender. The enemy leader demanded a one-on-one fight with the leader of the people of Baku. They prayed to the Zoroastrian god Ahura Mazda, and he sent down a flame from which emerged a flame-haired virgin. She immediately demanded a helmet and a sword and went out to fight the enemy leader. And she, of course, won the battle, and she stood with her sword at his throat. "Take off your helmet," he cried, "so that I can see you." So she did. He was amazed to see a flame-haired virgin instead of the local hero, and promptly, of course, fell in love with her. He asked her to marry him. She said yes, and they all lived happily ever after and renamed the tower the Maiden's Tower. Not sure what happened to the siege, but there we go. This stamp from 1993, the horse series. The thing to note is the denomination. This is 20Q, Q being the Azerbaijani for Gapik, the 100 Gapiks making up one manat. So this is kind of like a 20 pence or a 20 cents stamp. And it shows an Akalteka breed of horse. 1994, so this is 1 year more or less after that horse series, and there are two different sets here, the minerals at the top and the World Cup from the USA at the bottom, both from 1994. And you'll notice that the denominations are now in manats. The lowest denomination of the minerals was 5. So that's kind of like going from 20 cents for the horse to $5 for the lowest one of the minerals, or $10 for the one there that I've got, the calcite one on the left. So that's in just a year. So that was a big jump. But the jumps kept on coming. This is one more year later, 1995, the Flora and Fauna series. We have a Karabakh horse, a white sturgeon, a golden eagle, and those two birds at the bottom are Caucasus heathcocks. But the denomination, the horse here on the left, is the lowest denomination of this series, which is 100 manat. So that's just 2 years. It's the previous horse stamp that we saw would be kind of like a 20 pence or a 20 cents. This would now be $100 or £100. That's a lot of inflation in these 2 years. The denominations more or less stabilized. This is from the following year, 1996. Both of them from June of that year. The dogs, or a dog series, on the left, and the birds on the right. But the inflation kept on coming. This is from 2000, the World Wildlife Fund for Nature, showing ferruginous ducks, and 500 manat is now the lowest denomination, or was the only denomination of these stamps. So again, we've gone from 20 gapiks, which if we think of other currencies, 20 pence or 20 cents, up to now $500 or £500 in about 7 years. Finally, my most recent stamp I have, and this is also before the currency devaluation. This is from 2005, and we're now up to 1,000 manat. So again, if you're thinking of other currencies, we've gone from 20 cents to $1,000 in just over 10 years. This is Heydar Aliyev. He was the leader of Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic. So whilst Azerbaijan was part of the Soviet Union from 1969 to 1982, he then became the deputy leader of the whole Soviet Union from 1982 to 1987. He came to power in independent Azerbaijan after a Russian-backed military coup in 1993, got rid of the previously democratically elected president. He promptly had another election, which he won with 99% of the vote, which is usually a sign of something amiss. His regime was internationally described as dictatorial, authoritarian, and repressive, as well as being plenty of accusations of corruption and misuse of oil wealth. He stayed the leader of Azerbaijan until 2003. In the next election, his son won, who has been the president since 2003 until the present day. So, these are my stamps. My name is Keith. Goodbye.